Now, I come across amazing people on LinkedIn and all sorts of other places, and I was approached to see if I wanted somebody as a guest on my podcast. Well, generally, the answer is no, because our podcast, being Human Hidden Depths, I wonder if Alan can pop the link into the chat space in case you want to go and check it out, is for members. It's our way of promoting them. It's our way of finding out more about them. It's our way of showing off about our fabulous members. So normally when people say, would you like this person to be my guest? I'm like, no, I'm good. Thank you. Stephanie was a bit different. We had the podcast. She was amazing. I was so bowled over by where she's come from, where she is now, but her inner core is about accepting where she is and making it into something really special. So different abilities, but outstanding capabilities. That just sums her up in one word. So I'm going to hand over to Stephanie. Enjoy yourself, my darling. The stage is all yours. See you in a moment.
Thank you very much. Remind me how long I've got, Jill, because you know I'm a waffler. I could talk for England, but I probably shouldn't.
15 minutes, my love.
15 minutes, spot on. I can do that. So thank you very much for having me. Oh my goodness, I am really excited to share this with you because I'm just an excitable human being is the first thing. And as Jill was saying, like collaboration is what's going to change the world. I'm very privileged to have friends both in the UK and the USA, and despite what the media would have you think, we have good people doing the good work on both sides of the pond, and I'm very privileged to be connected with such human beings. I go out to the USA probably a couple of times a year now, as of this year, because I've made such wonderful connections, and I'm back in November, just getting excited and doing the wonderful things. So I'm going to talk to you today about different abilities and outstanding capabilities, because I'm a firm believer that neurodivergent people are going to change the world. But the problem is that stigma would have you think that we are a burden. There's been some interesting things in the news about paracetamol causing autism. Did you know if you give it after midnight, you get vampire autism? That's about as factual as everything that came out in that. But we're not here to talk about that. If you want to read my Metro article in that, I'll drop you a link later. But the first thing we're going to do, I suck at introducing myself. So we're going to play a little game, and I just want you to very quickly drop in the chat which one of these you think is a lie. So these are three things about me that kind of demonstrate my ADHD insanity. I met George Clooney and demanded a selfie. I ran away to New York with 3 days' notice. I recently lost 7 stone in weight. So please drop a 1, a 2, or a 3 for which one you think isn't true, because it's probably not the one you think, but yeah. Okay, number 3. We've got a couple of number 3s there. Any more votes? Number 3, number 2, okay. Number 2, a couple of number 2s. The number 1, okay. Okie dokie. So, believe it or not, it's number 2. I met George Clooney on the red carpet at the King's Trust in June, and I was like, "How, George? I've come 6 hours for this. I want a selfie." He's like, "Well, just take one." I was like, okay, and totally like I looked like a bag of rags, but I got a selfie with George Clooney. I didn't go to New York. I did go to San Diego. I needed to run away, and the Americans were the first ones to reply. And I spent 3 days in various parts of California and 4 in Arizona. And I did lose 7 stone in weight. I am an ADHD procrastinator and gained a lot of weight from that, and also being in a wheelchair for most of my 20s, which surprises a lot of people when you see me out and about. Not gonna lie, it was Manjaro, it's a magical thing. Fully support the use of that if people want to do that, but there's no pressure. Everybody is beautiful. So there's a few things about me, but you're probably thinking, like, what has this got to do with anything? The thing is that my conditions that I have enabled me to build a business for people like me. So I have 2 businesses. One is the Spicy Brain Collective, which is a community for neurodivergents built online. And we offer coaching, mentoring, training, and also free sessions, because I think we get so detached from the world now, is that, like, when we all work for ourselves, we work from home and we don't see other humans. So I made a place for everyone to hang out on a Monday morning. I also have Spicy Brain Energy, which is how I make my money. That is our done for you service. So if you have a spicy brain and you have a business, you have probably done that because you did a job for so long and thought, I can do this self-employed and make more money. Nobody tells you what goes on behind the scenes that somebody else did when you were in employment. Nobody tells you that procurement and HR and all of those things are now your job. So my team make it their job. And Neurodivergence, as much as I was diagnosed later in life, when I look back, it's actually dictated huge portions of how I've experienced the world. And why this is important is that I have realized that people don't value us in the way they should. So every single person I employ falls under the category of neurodivergent or disabled, which surprises a lot of people because I think there's a lot of stigma around how neurodivergent people or disabled people aren't reliable. And that's really sad. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that today and how we do it, why we do it, and why it's so important in today's workforce. So for anyone who doesn't know what neurodivergence is, I have put a definition up here. I'm not going to sit and tell you about all the different things about autism, ADHD, anything like that, because there's a lot of that online already. You don't need me to waste your time talking about what autism looks like. But what I will say to you is that it's just a different way of wiring the brain up. So if you have a Mac and a PC, you're going to get the same outputs, but the way they do that internally is different. And it's the same with neurotypicals and neurodivergent people. So we're just thinking about someone who's got a slightly different way of working. They can do the same things, they just do it differently on the inside. So when we're looking at hiring people, we do things very differently to your average job, okay? So when you see a job advert from me, you will see that we ask people what their favorite dinosaur is. I don't care what their favorite dinosaur is. What I care about is that they've read the job description, because what we're looking for is not necessarily the person with the best skills. We are looking for the person with the best personality and the best alignment with our values. So I've got 3 things that I look for when I'm hiring people. The first one is that they get it. Do they get what we're doing? Do they understand the mission that we're on and really know what that looks like? You know, do they understand what we are trying to achieve for neurodivergent business owners that we support? Do they want it? Do they want to be a part of that mission? And do they really, really want to fight for it? Would they get up in the morning and feel excited about doing that every day? And the third thing is, are they capable of doing it? Now, the thing is that if somebody comes to me and they answer the first 2 really well, but the 3 is perhaps weaker, if the first 2 are strong, you can train capability, but you can't train passion. You can't make someone be excited about something if they're not excited about it. So we aren't looking for the person who's got the strongest skill set here. We're looking for the person who is the most excited about what's going to happen. Because neurodivergent people, we know when they are interested and excited, will be more engaged. So this one, when we do things differently, we will ask about disability adjustments at interview stage. And when most HR people see this, they're like, you can't do that. You can't ask about disabilities. Yes, we absolutely can. Now, the thing is that if the average person was to say to someone, you know, are you disabled? It's like, that's not okay. But how we do this at interview is I'll say to people, I have a physical disability, autism, ADHD, and I'm a single parent. And I have these 4 barriers that could prevent me from accessing work in the way that I need to. Do you have any barriers that you would like to disclose to us today that might help us get you the best start if you are successful with this role? Now, the thing is, every single person sitting in my office was asked the same question. So it's not discrimination if everyone is being treated with the same question. And the thing is, some of the people that are sitting in the room didn't disclose. More than half of them did. And they still got jobs because it gave me an opportunity to see what their values are in terms of transparency and integrity, but also to get them off to a good start, set them up for success rather than failure. We give our staff a choice of what skills they develop. So neurodivergence, like I said, we know that when they're interested, they're going to be more engaged. So once they've been here and done a little bit of everything, we'll say, what lights you up? Where would you like to specialize? And our team have chosen that themselves. Every single person in the room has chosen the thing they want to do the most of, and we allocate the clients accordingly. We don't believe in trying to force a square peg into a round hole. So while we try and teach everybody every skill, I know that Eleanor, for example, hates WordPress websites with a passion. So I don't ever make her do that. She can do enough for an emergency, but I would never make her do that because it doesn't light her brain up. She's going to be less productive. It's going to negatively impact the client experience and it's going to depress her. Whereas if I give it to Katie, who loves WordPress websites, she's going to be faster, more productive, better client value for money. Why would I do it any other way? And we encourage self-advocacy. So we want people to speak up when things are bothering them. But we also encourage people to act autonomously and with accountability. And we encourage an open dialogue because everyone's needs need to be balanced. You know, one person's needs should not supersede or cause detriment to somebody else. So if somebody needs change that's going to affect someone else, we talk about it, we compromise, we discuss. But it's like you wouldn't go to the North Pole with no coat on and then say, oh my God, I'm freezing, this is someone else's fault. So what if you know that having fidgets on your desk helps you work, why wouldn't you bring those to work? I have no problem with that. So we encourage people to just do a little bit for themselves. Part of what I do is about having accessibility and inclusion in the design. So it's not about, you know, treating everybody and giving everybody something different. It's actually what's a good baseline to give everybody something, and then what do we need to do over and above that. So every single workstation in my office has a noise cancelling headset because we know that sometimes people need to focus and drown out the noise. They can wear those headsets at any time, even if they're not on calls. The only time we would say is like if we're waiting for a visitor, one person needs to keep their headset off to listen out for the door. Very rare, all of them have their headsets on at the same time. But it means that people who need to focus and get their head down can do so without any kind of judgment or discrimination. We have a beta blocker bench. So we are very lucky to be next door to Wetherspoons that has a bench outside. And if anybody is having a bit of a bad day and just a little bit stressed, a little bit anxious, they can go out for a reasonable amount of time. We let them manage that because we trust them to not take the mickey out of us. But they can just go and sit and watch the world go by for 5 minutes and calm down. They can take someone with them if they need to, but it just gives them that little bit of a break when they need it in a completely different environment. We have chairs that can be static or can rock. So if people want to sit and do this, they can do that. I don't have one of those chairs here. I am very sad about that. My entire team have them at the office. This is disappointing. But it's not just that. The thing is, we have so many needs that can affect how we feel across our working day, right? And even if they're not needs specific to a neurodivergent person, they are needs that can make a neurodivergent person feel worse if they go wrong. So there was a meme a little while ago about people who were having like menstruation stations and people were taking the mick out of station-based things around the home. I have full-on leaned into this. We have a menstruation station. We have pads and sanitary towels, tampons, face masks, and various, period care items. There's a hot water bottle in there. So if anybody comes on their period at work, it doesn't need to be a source of dysregulation. They can just deal with it there and then. We have a snack station because there's nothing worse than being hungry. So if you just need to grab something, there are funded snacks in the break room that everyone can help themselves to. We have a hot and cold water machine, so beverages are easy to get. We have fidgets on the desks, a casual dress code. People can wear whatever they want from the waist down as long as they look semi-professional from the waist up. And we have wellbeing policies that encourage people to stay in work because we understand the value of in-person connection sometimes. Working from home all day, every day can foster resentment. It can make you feel detached. Whereas if people are coming into the office and actually seeing other humans, it can really support their mental health. So our policies encourage office-based working, but we do allow for hybrid working as well. So how it looks in practice, I have full consent to share these because I spoke to the girls this morning. This is Katie. Katie was interviewed when she was 15 years old and she'd been diagnosed with ADHD the same day as her job interview. Katie has ADHD and dyslexia. And when she first started, I said, is there anything we can do to help with your barriers? And she said, I would appreciate any help with my ADHD because it's very new. So before she even got to work, we got her an access to work grant, which has given her software, it's given her a standing desk, and made sure also has bigger monitors so that she has everything she needs to do the best job every day. She chose to specialise in WordPress websites because it excites her. And all she does all day, every day is build WordPress websites, and she churns them out like it's going out of fashion. She very successfully completed her apprenticeship this year. I'm very proud of her because she worked extremely hard. Having neurodivergent conditions can make study really difficult, but she absolutely killed it. And at 18 years old, she is supporting clients 2 and 3 times her age and doing a bloody good job of it because she's correctly supported. Abby, so she came to me in 2023. She's been here the longest. She doesn't have a formal diagnosis, but on working with us, she realised there were a lot of things that had been prevalent for her for a while that looked like neurodivergence. We don't need a label to make the adjustments for someone. We do not need to have a sticker on the box to be able to do good. So Abby brings her dog to work. This is Fern, and Fern sits on her lap all day. Now what that does it gives Abby a little bit of deep pressure stimulation, which helps her to stay focused. Does Fern occasionally yap? She does. But most of the time she sits quietly and supports Abby with her mental health and well-being. So Abby works really well with lots of different types of people, very, very creative, good at design work. I actually saw her design work before I realized that I wanted her to work for me. I would never allocate her to a client who becomes regularly dysregulated, because if somebody needs emotional support, Abby is not the best person for that. So she's quite classically autistic in that she doesn't understand emotion very well, and her face very much has subtitles. She cannot hide her emotions if something's a little bit funny. So we had a client come to a call once who was dysregulated over a crow she had found at the side of a road and was rehabilitating. I could never allocate that kind of situation to Abby, because if Abby saw a crow on the back of a call, she would probably wet herself laughing. So we give her to Eleanor, or we give her to Chloe, who are very much the right people for empathy and emotional regulation. The thing is that all of the things that you can do to support a neurodivergent team member, we see them as barriers. If we don't need them, we see it as a barrier. And one of the biggest barriers is, how much is this going to cost me? I implore every one of you to stop seeing adjustments as a cost and see them as an investment in another human. Because when you invest in someone who's been otherwise marginalized, they become extremely loyal. They will want to work for you forever, because they know if they went somewhere else, they would not be treated that way. So that puts you ahead of other employers and makes you an attractive sort of place to work. Unconscious bias is a big problem, because we are trained by, the media. Even in the last week, things that Donald Trump said last week about paracetamol and autism was very damaging to the autistic community. RFK Jr. said similar, and it sounds like we are all a burden to society. With respect, I contribute about £100,000 a year just in my taxes, so I wouldn't say I'm a burden. My reasonable adjustments cost about £20,000 a year, so I pay that back fivefold every single year. So I encourage you to address your unconscious bias and learn about the people that you're working with. And communication. It's just about having a conversation and being an active listener and proactively addressing things before they go wrong if you can. So what I want you to take away from this is that I am recognized for this work because we do good here. So everything I'm saying to you is things that are achievable. Start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. You don't need to go anything grand gestures or massive. Start with the people in front of you. See the potential in them, not the things you perceive to be a block. Approach everyone with an open mind, and it's okay to ask for help. You don't know what you don't know, as Gill was saying before. It's okay to say to somebody, I don't know the answer. Can we have a conversation about this? And can you help me to learn from this? And if you are asking someone to educate you, please pay them. Pay them for their skills, because they are doing the emotional labor of educating you on something that is hard for them. So I encourage everyone to connect with me on Instagram, because that is my platform. I'm growing, and if I don't say this, Lindsay McGlone will punch me in the kidney. There are 2 Instagram accounts there that I would love to find you all on. Does anybody have anything they'd like to ask me?